So niche marketing for architects. This is one of my favorite topics, and we've got Scott Valentine here, director of Vail Architects. Scott is that the right way to say Vail? Is that
well, this is one lesson we need to learn in branding, right? I wanted to say valet. So the whole idea is valet, right?
Valet. Okay, valet.
People die, I don't know. But valet. So valet is my last name, Valentine, right? And we started this in Bali. In Bali, that there's a place we wanted something that meant when people come together, right? So in a Balinese house, you have a balai, which is a little building out the front. That's where people greet and they come together because we're all about hospitality. So like, hey, valet, yeah. But I don't know. People mispronounce it, so whatever.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. I have the same problem. People think my name is Byron. It's Brian with a yo, folks. So. All right. Cool. Let me get through your bio. Scott is an architect with over 16 years of international experience. Before starting Valet Architects, his world was running large-scale hotel projects. But the act of starting a company from zero means you need to figure out the business of architecture following your very own path. So join Scott on the path that has taken him from zero to an internationally known architect and learn from his successes and failures along the way. Scott, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to go off camera while you're doing your thing, and I'll come back for the Q&A and we'll walk through that. All right?
Okay, Brian. Thanks very much, and thanks very much for having me. I appreciate it. So I guess I'll get into it. Cool. Right. So as Brian said, I am... my name is Scott Valentine. I'm the director of Valet Architects, and I'll come to that in a second. But the first thing I want to get into is who I am. So my name is Scott Valentine. As I said, director of Valet Architects, and I wanted to set out and create a architectural studio that was vastly different from those that had come before me. So the approach that I'd witnessed before me, working for many other firms, was that it's a shaky sort of business, dies out every 7 years, and you have to rethink everything. So that was a challenge when we started back in 2014. So one of the problems I see was that young, hopeful architects, they start out with a lot of energy, and they're going for it. They're trying to get whatever jobs come in, and that's great, and should be kind of doing that. But they quickly get beaten down, and at the point of 7 to 8 years, that's when you seem to start taking a turn. Things start going well for you in your business. That's if you can last that long. Selling services is really hard, as we've experienced. So how could we do it differently? How could we do this traditional model of building an architecture firm differently? How could we make it profitable? And how could we do it faster? 7 to 8 years to maybe work was like, oh, so much. How can we do that faster? That was the goal of the start. There's always start goals. They're great. So today I want to take you through the journey, our experiment. I don't have anything to sell you or anything like that. It's just taking you through, hopefully, to get you ahead. So we'll take you through what worked and what didn't, the marketing theory behind what we did at Valet Architects, our approaches in the past, and the successes and the failures of that, and why we think they are successes or failures. So you can get a head start from where you are today. I believe most people attending now should either have a coffee or a beer in their hand, depending where they are in the world. It's afternoon one place and good morning in another place. So I believe you're probably starting out trying to start your own firm, or you would like to, and that's who I've created this for. So this is not a talk about how to get millions of followers. It's not about a guaranteed success formula or anything like that. It's just something to help you understand, because your success will be determined by your own context and the world around you, the things you want to do. It's quite difficult to sum that up in 1 hour conversation, or however long this takes. So your context is kind of going to be key, and this is something you need to take away from it. So niche marketing. Why do you want a niche market? So the idea of becoming someone in a niche field is you become more valuable, but to a fewer group of people. You're not a generalist. You don't have generalist understanding of things. You've got a niche value. You know more about the subject than someone who is a generalist. And the idea of doing this, especially in architecture, which is quite involved, as you've got a lot to know so much, is quite valuable to people. So there's data behind this problem. The problem of you starting up your own firm or going into starting an architectural firm or any business, and it was found by Paul Dyson. He's a marketing researcher. He put out a study in 2014 that looked at how to improve the return of investment on advertising. So this is looking at big advertising campaigns, but the same ideas still apply to you and I. Because one thing you need to get used to is if you start or want to start a company, or you're in a lead seat in your office, you're a marketer. You have to market. You have to advertise. You're doing it all the time. You're not just a technical person building the things you want to build, the technical skills you have. And you need to communicate with the world and get them to buy from you. So the number 2 factor in a company's success was that was what the advertising world's called creative. We call it design out of designs. That was the number 2 factor in getting in return on investment. Basically, the things that were getting them jobs. So in our context, that would be our buildings. So that'll be the number 2 factor. So it makes you think, what's number 1 factor? What's the number 1 factor? And that's brand size. That's a pre-existing brand size. It's not only a bigger factor, it's bigger by 50%. So basically, we're screwed from the get-go, right? Because we're not big. We're ourselves, or we're a team of small people. So this is really interesting. And I wouldn't look too much into that graph. There's a lot of other factors on there, but the top 2 were the most interesting. So the idea of creating a niche is that we can maybe select a small portion of the market and be big in that market, because we're not gonna be bigger than Gensler or ACOM or anyone like that, right? We can only be bigger in a smaller market. So your idea is to carve out a small part of the big market, be a big fish in a small pond, and that's the idea behind niche marketing. I think it's kind of it's almost essential, but your niche doesn't have to be based around, like mine is about hospitality. It doesn't have to be around like that kind of thing. It could be a style, it could be a way of building, it could be anything you want it to be. A particular thing that makes you unique, that attracts people to you. So I niche from the start because my history is I'm a technical architect. I put buildings together, to design, all those things that you need to be, the skills you need to have for it as an architect. But my background was doing lots of hospitality. So I knew hospitality. I knew how to put buildings together, but I have no network. I have no one to go to get projects from. And I wasn't sure how to do this. I want hospitality projects. Yeah, that's what I know. Big resorts, I can do them. Great. So we just went in and we tried something to get a reputation in this niche. So you are probably here as well. You may have these technical skills and you're like, how do I start? Or maybe you've got an interest in something and you want to blend that with architecture. Got an example here. Maybe you love puppies and kittens and you want to put that with architecture. And so how do you do that? Still, the challenge is how do you do that? So the first attempt we did was the first attempt we put together was to redesign a typical suburb into a hospitality destination. So this is a suburb that's just, think about any suburb you've ever been to. They're pretty boring, right? So how do you make that a hospitality destination? We thought this would resonate with the community around us, get us some media attention, and then the projects would come in. That was kind of our thinking back then. The very first thing, mind you, we tried. So no one cared. We put months of work into this. It was full of lots of great facts and figures about why this is a great idea. We got a little bit of media attention from development websites and from the local media, but still no one really cared. We're the Nerdatex. We think something is amazing. It may not be to the people you're trying to communicate with, or it might not get in front of their face. The valuable lesson here is it doesn't matter if your mum says you're cool. Your ideas must resonate with the people around you, and that's when they'll start paying attention. I found a mentor, actually. Went down a rabbit hole. I think I was searching for how to put a fee proposal together or something like that. And I found a mentor in someone who set up a online school a few months before I started ballet. His name's Chris Do. I hope some of you know him. He's big on the internet now. But back then it was him and Jose Caballero working to help people like me. And I think they still are. But Chris put me onto two books. And I basically just followed these books to do niche marketing, to put my business together with the guidance of Chris. So Blair Enns and Marty Neumeier put out two fantastic books, and you have to get these books. If you want to do any of the stuff I've been doing, or get into niche marketing or creating your own business, these two books are essential. Blair Enns, Win Without Pitching, and Marty Neumeier, three books. Marty Neumeier's The Brand Gap and Zag. They have other books, but these are basic reads, and they kind of explain everything, and you just follow it. And that's kind of what we did. So Chris helped us along the way here. And we came to this conclusion. We spent quite a bit of time. We came to an understanding where we had to design our company, because we're trying to tell people, design your building because it will be better. So why don't we design our company? So carefully, like you would a building. So we created a brand identity, a website, an animation, and we launched. It was really wonderful. Yeah, it's going great. We got some meetings with some clients on some big hotels, some small hotels, but still no real traction. Things weren't kicking off. The next idea, we thought, okay, well, if we can't get the attention of people locally, let's get the entire world's attention. Let's do content marketing. So content marketing is where you create some sort of art or entertainment or something that draws people to pay attention to what you're talking about. Ideally, you're solving a problem for them, but you could just be entertaining them. It's up to you. So we weren't sure exactly what to do, but there was an idea bubbling away. We'd been to a few client meetings, and the common theme was emerging that people wanted to think about integration of Instagram into their buildings. This idea of designing for Instagram. And we're like, okay, this is interesting. So the important thing to note here is, before, when we did the master plan, this is some idea we came up with. Now we're listening to the people, the niche people we want to speak to, and we're listening to the big problem that they're having. The big problem that they're having is that they want to put marketing into the design of their buildings, right? Their ideas are wings and things like that, which are terrible, but doesn't matter. There's something here we can grab onto. So we researched this idea of designing for Instagram, and nobody on the internet was really talking about it at all, actually. Everything we found was about getting more followers on Instagram. We're like, this is kind of weird. But we dug further. We sort of asked ourselves the question, how valuable is Instagram to a hospitality business? And can you quantify a like? Does it have a dollar value, a like? And this has got us asking more and more questions. And then we sort of started to write articles and an ebook on this. So the next test is, was this helpful? Will they get it? Will they find this helpful? Will they even care what we put together for them? We don't know. We'll see. So about a week went by. This is our first launch of launching some content. And we had about 10 downloads of our ebook, and that was exciting for us. Like, we created something from nothing, and people wanted to read what we were putting out there. The downloads trickled in over the months, but it was sort of not really taking off. Then all of a sudden there was this mad rush. All the media were talking about designing for Instagram, or designing Instagrammable, as we were calling it. And we'd already written a book on it. So that was pretty good. So we were interviewed by Marcus Fairs from the Zine. He kind of kicked it off. And then Oliver Wainwright at The Guardian. We had interviews from numerous websites across the world, except Australia, of all places, the home country. Don't know why that is. But everywhere else in the world wanted to know about this, and including industry websites. We even got a call from a producer in Santa Monica asking me, do I want to be the next Gordon Ramsay of architecture? I'm like, yeah, let's do that. Let's create a Netflix show. So that didn't happen, but it was cool to be considered for that. You know, there was a lot of hype going around. It was great. So yes, this is all working. It started to work out. And theories worked. We started from zero. Now we're the most talked about architecture firm in the world. Phase 1 worked. On to phase 3, profits. Just like the underpants gnomes of South Park. Now, so we thought this would work. We thought the hype would get us projects. That was our theory. We just needed one project. So the clients' inquiries flooded our email. No, they didn't. This did not happen. We had one. It was a bit more like this. We had one really nice guy from Manila. He wanted to do a 7-story building for hostel or something like that. And we helped him understand more about his project, how much money he could make, and you know, how to attract people. But generally, it was tumbleweed. We got the international media attention, but not converted anything. That's pretty sad. So when the hype runs out, the hype died off, our ideas had resonated, we think, with the wrong people, maybe. Architects, not hospitality business owners. So we get a lot of downloads from, I have people select if they're architect or hospitality, and we get a lot more designers downloading from us. However, the people from hospitality that find our stuff, they love it. They're like, this is the best thing out. This taught me more than any marketing person did, or blah, blah, blah. You know, they're very positive about it. But the majority of who finds us are other architects. It's people like you. So our strategy was to go really hard on branding, and the balance was out. We weren't doing enough selling at the same time. So, you know the story by now. Something didn't work. Let's try and figure out why. And this is where you guys come and join the story today. I left the world of the Gary Vee marketing ideas and watching YouTube videos and found the world of professional marketing, which is, who would have thought? Very good. So I found a guy called Mark Ritson, who I just watch his videos, quite like him. He's a university professor, was a university professor in Melbourne. Now he runs his own mini MBA, which looks great, but I haven't done it. But he was talking about this book called The Long and the Short of It. And it's an analysis of 1,000 advertising campaigns, and it deals with this. It deals with a debate in the world of marketing that's been going on for a long time, and the debate is, you know, do we invest in getting short-term sales right now? So in big companies, that's you know, discounting and price promotions and things like that. Or do we invest in branding? And the professional world of marketing even constantly debates this. So we, it sort of shone a light on what we think we were doing wrong. We were going all in on building our brand and not enough on sales. And the reality is, the book laid out the debate to rest. It says you need to put 40% of your budget, or in our case, our time, towards selling, and 60% to branding. So budget in our world is time. I think I just said that. Sorry, I'm repeating myself. So you're here to learn about niche marketing. So what does this mean for you? Well, the research shows you can't build a brand in a month or a year. It takes at least 3 years. And niche marketing is about having a brand, a reputation in a certain area and a certain knowledge of skills. You could try going all in like we did on branding, but our example shows that even if you get the most intense media sort of coverage, you may not be, it may not equal profits. So brand building efforts have to work with short-term sales. There's no question about it, and that's kind of the challenge. One of the big challenges you have to work at as you're going and adjust. So start with a 60-40 split and adjust as you go. Assess your context, because it'll have to work within your context, and the context will be a major factor in your approach. So select your niche. If you love puppies and kittens, as I was talking about before, then focus maybe on animal shelters and home design pets. This is for your long term. Remember to allocate time for marketing. It's, big companies do it. They allocate budget towards it, but we've just got our time. So allocate your time towards it. Do your 60% of branding. If you want to do the puppies and kittens thing for the, luxury houses that are designed around somebody's prized pet, you can do that. Do blog articles, host a podcast, produce YouTube videos, get creative. But the thing is, it needs to be sustainable. It needs to be done over a long period of time. So prepare for that. What can I put out once a month that builds my brand, that builds my reputation in a certain area? Because we want to get to that point of the niche market. Focus on changing trends and behavior. Solve a problem for people, or entertain them. These seem to be the ways to get people's attention. Make sure you implement all the ideas from Marty and Blair's books, because they are the books you need to read. I can't sit here and tell you any more than what they can tell you, kind of. I can just give you the reality of what happens when you read these books. And then take 40% of short-term sales activations, 40% of your time and energy, put it towards networking. Talk to everyone you know. Do you have any projects going on? Can I help you with anything? Do contract work for ex-employers. Do small home extensions, teaching, create products. Do whatever you have to do to get sales right now, and dedicate 40% of that overall time you're going to dedicate to marketing to that. Okay. So I also wanted to talk about the buyer's mindset, because this is a huge challenge. You and I are from the technical world of architecture. Your client is not. They don't understand, and they don't want to be educated. They want their building built. People don't understand the value of design. It's sad and it annoys us, but it's the reality of it. There are a few out there that do, but a lot of people that you'll meet when you're starting out and you're trying to get that work, they won't really understand it. So create a reason for people to feel reassured with you, and a reason to come to you. They're familiar with technical trades. They're familiar with a carpenter or an electrician. While these jobs are difficult, they're very different from ours. They follow put A here, put B there, and join them together. Whereas ours, we have a blank sheet of paper. We have to invent something brand new every single time. I've noticed that people do not comprehend this at all across the world, unless they're really professional developers or something of that nature. So allow for this when you're selling, and allow for understanding this mindset when you're trying to sell to people when you're starting out. But the good news is, the research shows in that book, the long and short of it, you won't grow your prices with your existing customers. So who you're selling to today, who you're building a garage for, or whatever, will not be the luxury house owner in 10 years' time. So don't get too worried about that. Just get in and do it, I guess. As your brand grows, as you do that branding effort, you're doing that 1 month video out or article, your brand will grow over that long period of time, and your pricing strategy and the people you're meeting with will start to shift over time. Be patient. It'll get there. So to build a long-term growth, you have to build a brand. You have to do this over the long term. I mean, your brand is your reputation, so it's happening with you or without. The difference is a reputation is something that sort of happens, whereas brand is you're just trying to force it to be that way. You're forcing perception about who you are, what you know, and all those things. So the question for you now is what brand do you want to be? That's the question you want to sit down and ask yourself. So, yeah. Now, for homework, it's not really homework. It's if you want to do it, it's just a little diagram. I use it. It's helpful. And I've added it to the download links, wherever that button is. I don't know whether that button is. And yeah, follow the download and have a look at dividing up, write down every idea that you have and divide it up into long-term branding and short-term strategies, and then put them on the graph. The idea of doing frameworks and graphs or whatever you want to do is you should want to bring your words to life, your ideas to life, and you want to put that down on paper. So we've just created a small little graph there that we think will help you do that. So join us on our journey. You can follow me on Valet Architects. I'm usually posting on Scotty Valentine. It's a little bit more personal, but see our website, Valet Arch. You can see everything we put together, how we put the website together. We split it into teaching and architectural services. So check it out. Use us for a case study if you want, and then actually go ahead from where we are and, use the lessons that we've sort of learnt from here and go forth and, success to you all. I don't know. At the end. Yeah.
All right,
thanks
Scott.
For Brian. Trying to finish it out.
That's all right. No worries. Let me just shift the video.
Sorry, I wasn't looking at the chat. If I looked at the chat, I got distracted. So I stopped looking at the chat.
All right.
I hope that all flowed for everyone. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into some discussion because we're getting some good questions in here.
Cool.
Let's start with let's see, we got Masood here. Masood says, can you name 2 famous firms that excel in niche marketing? Let's not limit that to famous firms. Let's just are there 2 firms that you think are doing this really well?
Yeah, I mean well, there's definitely lots of firms out there that are known for different areas. So, I mean, my former employer, WOTG, is known for hotels. They've been doing it for 75 years. Yeah, they do that. Populous does stadiums. Everyone knows that. Who else is some really... And niche isn't just serving a certain market. It can be just the way you design. Like, if you check out Joe Adset, he's a Brisbane architect. Really, really good. His niche is just his style. The way he does it is his niche. Yeah. And it looks so good. If you check out his website, it's just pictures of his buildings and people buy from him all the time. So your niche doesn't need to be something like hospitality, like I do. It can be a style. It can be a way of construction. It can be anything. You'll definitely Rammed Earth architects. You'll find them around because they're kind of a niche thing, and you'll find all these people around. So I think there's a lot. If you know the space that you want to be in, you'll start finding them. There's people that do aged care. I think aged care is going to be huge after this virus. We've seen it's destroyed so many people. Yeah. So I think, redesigning all that, I think there's just, you look for opportunities in the world, and you can find a niche market there. Right.
Hey, everybody. So Scott, you mentioned a download, but I never got the download. So I think I need to get that from you.
So it was a little tool that I use. I put it in there. I put it on there last night. So maybe that's why I didn't get it.
Yeah, maybe that's why I didn't get it. So
all right. Okay, guys. I put it there.
So here's what we'll do. So on the session page, well, let's put it this way. So anybody who that if when you entered the room and I've got your email. I'll be sure to email that to you directly. If you want to email me, or actually, can we have them email you, Scott, for that download? How about we do that?
Yeah. Just email me, scott@valearc.com.
Yeah, there you go. So just gonna, is that slide still up? Let's see here.
Oh, at the end.
Yeah, let's see. Back up one.
I'm not even sure. Back up one. Yeah, sorry. There we go.
There we go.
So, well, that's not my email on there, but it's
not
Scott,
your email, but you guys can reach out to Scott at Valet Architects, VALE, and get that download. Or is it Valet Arc or is it Valet Architects?
Arc, ARC.
Oh, Valet Arc. Yeah.
Yeah. Shop do it, okay? Shop Arc do it.
So get in touch with Scott. He'll get you that download. Sorry about that, guys. That's showbiz. Anyway, we got some other questions here. So that was the question about the other. Hey, anybody heard it? Frank Gehry? I think he's pretty famous for a style as well, right?
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah. Very distinctive style, but and some people like it, some people hate it. Anyway, all right.
That's entertaining for people, right? That style is like entertaining. They
exactly.
So
yeah. So Tracy wants to know, how do you suggest architects raise their prices?
Well, research shows branding that's what that book. I've got it here somewhere. Yeah, the long and the short of it. I mean, that's what this book's all about. It's showing that branding is the way to create price elasticity. They call it in the world of marketing. Raising your prices is through your brand. So you develop the reputation. You're the one. You're the it. Everyone has to come to you. I mean, you need demand. You need demand for your services to raise your prices. I believe. If you've got no demand, then you can't raise your prices. It's demand and what do they call it? Demand economy, whatever. So branding's the way to do it. It's going to take a while. If you want more on raising prices, I think probably some of the people that were speaking on here, you can go see Chris Doe or Blair Enns. He talks about it. So there's a number of people out there that can help you with that. But generally the response would be branding over a long period of time, build that reputation.
Gotta love that you're a fan of Chris Doe. I know Tracy, who's on this call, is a big Chris Doe fan. I've been a fan of his stuff for a little while as well. So definitely good. A lot of good stuff to pick up from him as well. So
yeah, he was around when I had no one. Like I had no one to help me, and so he was helping me out personally for a while. So
yeah, Tracy said she's in his pro group. She's a founding member in that group. So
there you go. Tracy would know well.
Yeah. So all right, I'm gonna Tafadzwa. I'm gonna pronounce the name Tafadzwa. All right. Well, that kind of rolls off the tongue. All right. He asks, or she, I don't know. I'm sorry. But we noticed that as a minority firm, most of our clients tend to be other minorities. Would you call being a generalist architect towards minority a list? Or, a niche?
Sorry, a generalist firm towards, probably.
So you specialize in minority.
That is a niche. I mean, I really like the way. Do you know John Henry? He's a young guy in New York, and I used to talk to him quite a lot on Instagram. And he was investing in minority startups, and his thinking was, these people are being ignored by the whole community. There's money to be made there because they're valuable people. They're doing their thing. So I'm gonna assist that community and make money there. So I thought that was really, really smart, and I assume that's what they're doing. Like, this is an underserved community. Yeah. Let's serve it, and they'll make money. So to me that would be definitely a niche, if that's the question. Sorry.
Cool. All right. Alexandra wants to know: do you suggest starting niching in a certain area, like for example, residential. How do you transition to other areas if you realize that's not your niche? Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, no, that's hard. So, I mean, the whole idea I was trying to get across here was that residential is going to be easy to get into because it's going to be mum and dads and people like that they're going to give you work. And they're the first people that are going to trust you.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people in residential, and there's a lot of people who aren't architects in residential, depending on your country and the prevailing codes there. But if you want to get into some other area, the idea of this talk was to say that be consistent over a long period of time and create ideas and content and the kind of stuff we have. Go check out our site. Go do that kind of stuff, but over a very long period of time, and then slowly get to that point. But do whatever you can do right now. So if you can get residential projects right now, but you want to be getting office spaces or something, work your way up to that. And again, that branding effort is what will be the force that gets you there.
Yeah, my wife just emailed me and said, "Oh, another good example of niche architects is Resolution 4." So it's re4a.com. They specialize in modular architecture, modular residential architecture. So they actually factory build these homes in their factory in Brooklyn and then have them delivered on site.
I think I know that firm. They did a project here on the Gold Coast. I think.
Yeah, they may have. Yeah, Joe.
But it's a lighting project. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. But we saw them speak a couple of years ago. We were like blown away. It was like wow, this is really cool stuff. Yeah. So anyway, the other thing that I would say to Alexandra's question about changing your niche. So Tracy and I, who's on the chat here, she and I both belong to a mastermind group, and we have had so we're all digital agency owners, but we have had firm owners in that group who have gone down a path of trying to pursue a niche and then realizing that it wasn't the right fit for them. And, they had to pivot out of that and try to build traction in a new niche. I would say that all of them, the ones that I can remember, all of them have actually succeeded remarkably well after pivoting. So once it's like anything else. It's like once you start working those muscles and and for an example, they went into a certain area and they had to even niche further into that area to really find their sweet spot. But
you kind of just got to get into it and go. Like it says it on the front slide: get into it, go in for the kill, and adjust as you go. Because that's what you have to do. Because your context is going to determine. You might want to do this thing, but you might not be able to. So your context will change that.
All right. So we have Ryan who asked, do you suggest starting to niche in a certain area? Did we cover that one? I think we did. Maybe not. Starting in a certain area like residential. I thought we covered that one. Maybe.
We covered that one.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. All right. Alexandra also asks, how do you select a niche? If you love working on multiple types of projects like residential, commercial, how broad can a niche be and still look like, and still have you look like an expert?
Yeah. Okay. Well, the thing is, when you do choose a niche, you go down like a big rabbit hole and you find all these other things down there that are very exciting, that are very you've kind of got to how do I put it? I think if you want to be all things to all people, fine, go for it. Do that. Then be very local. I guess, that's probably the way to take that one. Be the local guy that everyone goes to, that knows all the planning people in council, that does all those sort of things. Because you can then probably get lots of projects doing that as well. Being extremely local and knowing everything, knowing all the codes, knowing just everything about that. Because your niche then would be being the most local person around, right? But when you do delve into a space, so I go into hospitality. I know lots of operators now. I know hotel owners and all these kinds of people. You start seeing the world in a different way. So it's up to you what you want to do. If you go down that space, you'll start to find all these things. And if you're a generalist too, it's going to be hard if you want to do your branding around content, maybe. Because maybe not, actually. I mean, I sort of sit down and I think about ideas, what problems people have, and then I write an idea down, and then I ask questions, and then that turns into an article, and then that might turn into a YouTube video. So I sort of try and understand a certain business and what problems it's having, or a certain person, and then we create content based on that. So having a niche really helps with the keeping your mind on creating content around that and developing that sort of space. So yeah, I guess that's my answer.
All right. Okay, I see where I went wrong here. I put Ryan's original question in the wrong place. So Ryan says, how do you identify and determine a successful niche marketing strategy?
Sorry?
The question is, how it's written is, how do you identify and determine a successful niche marketing strategy?
Okay, when people start emailing you, asking you questions about the thing you're talking about, then you're successful.
That's a good, simple answer. I like that. All right. Maylene, thank you for letting me know how to pronounce your name. Sorry I butchered it the other day. All right. So our firm, Maylene says, our firm has been considering getting employees trained in passive house design, as it is a niche market. However, we have not had any inquiries in the past, and is really aimed at clients with a higher budget than our clientele. Any general tips for how we can get that first niche client?
Yeah, I think it'll be a bit of a long road if they don't have any connection or they don't see any market demand for it in their local area. To do that, though, you'd have to be talking about it. You'd have to be the person in that area talking about passive home design. And they would have to have enough money to do it. I really find it funny how you spend all this passive home design, and then there's several $1 million houses because there's so much stuff going into them. It's like, but you need to identify where there might be a market for this. If there's a strong enough one in your local community where you're serving, the people you're serving, and then try and reach out to them. You'll have to do that by when they search, because these are mum and dads, right? Just general people who want this passive house. So they're going to be searching on the net, looking for passive home design. They're going to see a video by you talking about passive home design, and these are the benefits of it, or here's something about it that really gets them excited about the kind of lifestyle they're going to live. So that's what you want to sell. You want to do content that's about the emotion, the lifestyle, the benefits, not technical benefits, the emotional benefits of how it's going to benefit their life and in that local area. Now you can just try doing that while you're doing your work right now, and then just you need to push your way into that space.
Okay. Tara has a question. At the end of the day, people do business with people they like and trust. To me, this can only happen in face-to-face meetings. How do you turn cold leads from Home Advisor into clients?
Oh, yeah. I think that's another subject, isn't it?
Well, I'll let you answer, and then I'll give my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think you give no. So I tried cold calling. I tried cold calling businesses, and it was really funny. I called one on the Gold Coast here, and I was trying to offer them something. And if you're not solving a problem for them, they don't want to hear from you. They don't care. They're doing something else. Now, So I don't know where a cold lead is coming from. A warm lead might be somebody that's come from your website or something. So we have a chat thing on a website. People message me on that. I get it on my phone. So if you go on my website right now, you start chatting to me, you want to talk to me anytime, just go into my website. There's a chat box that comes to my phone, right? If I'm awake, I'll most likely respond to you. So that's how you can get a warm lead. You've given them a reason to come to your website, and they found something out. They think you're amazing, and then they want to talk to you. Right? So that's kind of the idea. Now, cold ones out of nothing, cold calling. Oh, that's hard. I tried. It was really funny. Just had some people that were just, I won't tell you the story. There was some swearing in it, but it was funny. So just calling a really angry motel owner about, I think he was angry about his life, not about anything else. But most people were just like, they were busy and I was interrupting them. I tried doing it in person. So we tried this idea of property branding. I was like, okay, let's try and get $5,000 a month or something here. And we'll brand properties and we'll target them and we'll say, okay, we have this property. We can sell it to this niche, this select market. We write a message for it. We do a little render of it so it looks great and show the development opportunity. Then we put it out in the market. We did this with one project and we made $60,000 more than the agent said we would make. But that was for a friend's house. It was a test project. Then I tried to sell it. And this was where the cold marketing comes in. We did a little pamphlet. We took it to real estate agents. We thought they were the intermediary between me and the potential client. The young people, the young real estate agents were like, oh, this is cool. But I walked in on one guy and he just didn't want to hear it. He's like, no, don't want it. And I hadn't said anything. So I interrupted him. He wasn't a bad guy. I interrupted him. He didn't want to be interrupted. So you can't interrupt people because they don't give a crap. They just don't want it.
Oh, well, I think also Tara is, I don't know if you're familiar with Home Advisor, but that's a service here in the States, or I don't know where it is actually, but I know it's here in the States, and it's a referral tool. So it's like there's others like Thumbtack and Bark and others. And so these tools are basically, they list tradespeople and, they list, I can go on there and list my marketing agency if I want to. But the problem is that a lot of these people are usually what I would call the people who are coming in as leads are usually not the high value leads or the ones that are going to value your expertise. There are people who are just like, this was an experience I had with Home Advisor. I signed up for Home Advisor as a not as a client, but as somebody who would potentially use the service, right? And I go on there and I'm looking at things, and we were thinking about hiring somebody to come look at our AC unit, and so I go on there and I'm just playing around with the app, and it says, if you have a project or something like that, put in the details, and so I did that, and then 5 minutes later I get a call from somebody, and I'm like, what's this? And then. So I pick up the phone, and this guy is like, yeah, I'm calling about your project on Home Advisor. And I was like, oh, I said, I'm just, I was just playing with the app. I didn't realize somebody was going to call me. I was just kind of trying to, sort out what the app does. And the guy is like, he's like, this is, he's like, starts swearing and whatever. And he's like, so what I find out later, because I wanted to know more about what was going on, Home Advisor is actually, they charge you when you get those calls.
Yeah, Bark does the same.
Yeah, and so the problem with those kind of leads is that they're a lot of times they're just not quality leads. They're not people who are serious, and you can waste a lot of money and time using those kind of services. I think Tara. Yeah. The other, I think what Scott's really trying to talk about is, building a name for yourself in a specific area where you can be identified as the key expert, right? and that, you know, that does take time. It's not an overnight process.
It's a long time.
Yeah. All right. The answer to let's see if we have any. Yeah, Zillow for real estate as well. All right, people get annoyed. I'm just seeing there's a lot of chat going. This is one of the chattiest chats we've had all week. So good on you, Scott. All right,
they've all got beer or something. I'm sitting on my computer.
Yeah, it's like it's Friday night here in the U.S., so everybody's like, what the hell? Just have a conversation. All right, Alexandra said, how do you get international work? That was that's something you did, obviously, but
yeah, I mean that was from the content. I'm usually doing work all around the world, so I don't know people. Yeah, I don't know. I've always done international work. I've never done work in the same city I'm based in. So rare.
That's funny. That's funny.
So, yeah, I mean it's the content thing. I mean. Niche was I think the guy that came to us from Manila, it was because of the Instagram thing. He was actually in Sunnydale, south of Palo Alto. Is that area? Sunny? Anyway, around there, near San Francisco, we'll say. And he had inherited this block of land, and his daughter said, "Oh, it needs to be Instagrammable, Dad or Granddad or whatever it was." And so he found us. So if you type Instagrammable, our name comes up down the list somewhere. So this was a big thing, and like, oh yeah, but so if you know, if you can sell concept services and really help a business, that's what we're trying to do. Yeah. And what we're trying to sell is like, we can help your business through really actually what we do is architectural strategy. And so we pulled that from marketing, and we do the whole thing where we understand the users and we try and understand their needs. Yep. And we try and sell this as a more valuable thing than the design. The design will be valuable after that, but we'll put a concept together. So that's how we do international. But you're going to have to build quite a hell of a brand to get international work away from your point of call, because a lot of people I've found, they just want the building certified and built or something like that. So when we pitch on projects in Bali, they're like, "Can you sign off it?" And we're like, "Oh yeah, we can. We've got an architect that can do that." But they'll go. I was literally compared to a student that just graduated. I'm like, "Oh yeah, cool. I've got 16 years experience and he graduated. Cool, right?" But a lot of the time it's that. I had a project in Jamaica that was with a friend in Jamaica, but he found somebody that rocked up with a builder, and that gave him the confidence to do that project. Now he has confidence in me as an architect, but he ended up going with this person because, one, he was cheap, and two, he came, this is the builder, this is how we're going to have to do it, and all this kind of stuff. And that gave him confidence in that position to get his house done there and then. So, yeah, I don't know. Reach out to people on Instagram too. Just talk to people.
There you
just
go.
Talk to everyone. If you're on my Instagram, I follow you, you follow me, I'll probably just talk to you.
There you go. Get on the gram with Scott. Tara has another question. More of a comment, but Scott, do you visit the States much? When COVID goes away, I hope AIA National brings you in as a keynote speaker. Very nice comment from Tara.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
you. I'll practice better. Make it longer and something.
Not too much longer. And also make sure you're on the final night so everybody's got a beer in their hand and they can have a nice chat.
I don't know. I'm going to beer. I'm going to talk.
Yeah. I personally, I love this conversation because that's what we've done with our firm in the last couple of years is, well, a little bit more than that, but we've really focused on architects and helping them. And that's been, the real big focus for us as a niche. And I see the value and benefits that has brought for our own firm. So it's what I counsel my architecture clients to do as well. And that's something that we've been doing with, you mentioned puppies and kittens. We actually have a client who,
really?
he it's not that he loves puppies and kittens, but he's done a lot of work in the animal welfare, animal rescue, animal adoption sector. And, when we asked him that question, well, what kind of work do you really like to do? He's like, well, I love designing these outdoor campuses for these really nice animal adoption centers. And so
there you go.
That's what he's doing. And, because we set him up as the expert in this, he just won a $6 million project not too long ago.
There you go.
I mean, it's like the riches are in the niches, right? So that's there's niches everywhere you turn. You just got to figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah, where there's demand, there'll be someone to do it, kind of.
Yeah, and
one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
About yourself versus a lot of one thing I came across was so I learned a lot from Christo and really the graphic design world. The difference between us and the graphic design, I'll just point it out so people understand this when they're learning from people, and the difference maybe between yourself and people in the graphic design world is that a client is making a much larger investment and taking on a much bigger risk. So some of the stuff in graphic design doesn't translate exactly across into architecture. So keep that in your top of mind when you're learning things from people that don't serve the architecture community. So
sure.
Brian, you serve the architecture community. You get that. It's slightly different from graphic design because you can do a $500 job, $1,000 job in graphic design. You can't do that in architecture. It starts much higher.
Unless you're Christo. I mean, he's making a fair buck for his work.
He works for it though. He works for it.
Does.
He
does. He works.
At
really
the start,
hard.
he was online all the time. He was literally online all the time when he started, and it was just constant.
Yeah. The guy is a content machine for sure.
Yeah, he is. He is. He's very smart. He's very on it. Like he can, I want to get him to do a negotiation for me one day. Just do a bit of content.
Yes. You should get him and Blair Enns to come in. They could tag team it for you. You'll be like, there we go.
Like, these are my associates.
Yes. That'd be pretty good. All right. Well, listen, everyone. This has been a wonderful week for me. I want to thank Scott. This has been fun because we had a lot of discussion in this session, which I enjoy, of course. And I want to thank all of you. I want to thank everybody who has attended this week. I want to thank our sponsors. Thanks everyone for making this such a great event. I hope everyone has enjoyed this week, and I hope the sessions were of value to you. I hope you got to take away some practical and actionable things that you can put to work in your firm. Scott, anything else you want to add, or you're good?
I'm good for now. I mean, if you have questions, hit me up on my website or email. It's really easy to get in contact with me if you need to for anything.
Cool. Yeah, Tracy, can people still buy the VIP? I believe so. I'm so frazzled right now with all the things that have gone on this week, but I believe you can. Yeah, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Michelle. Thanks, everyone. We're going to wrap things up. This has been awesome. Thank you for supporting the Architect Success Forum this week. Again, we hope that you got something good out of this week. All right, and this concludes the American Institute of Architects Continuing Education Systems course.